Welcome to the last weekly snowpack update of the year from Ogden Avalanche. I am Brandon Long, along with Keenan Grady. And before we dive in, I would like to thank our sponsors. So, huge shout out to Atomic, Range Realty, Young Power Sports, the Banyan Collective, and to our granting partner, Community Foundation of Ogden Valley. Keenan, how are things out there? I know you got some photos to show us, so we'll just kind of do a recap of the year, but I'm also wondering what you want to do a current status of the snowpack leading into, because we're not going to be around anymore. Do you want to do that at the end?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Just got home from skiing and it's like the best it's been all season. So hope you guys have been getting after it. April's been epic so far. I thought it was a joke for April Fools, but we're here, we're back. It's good. Get it before the sun does.
Right on. Well, let's go through some of these photos. Okay, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this was Thanksgiving Day. Big crew on Lightning Ridge, Powder Mountain, a bunch of backcountry recreational enthusiasts. That was my first day skiing of the season. We got a little bit of snow, I guess rewinding. First snow in the Ogden area we got this season was October. Not enough to ski, just enough to maybe harbor a persistent weak layer in the upper elevation northerlies. But it pretty much entirely melted, which was a great relief from the Avalanche side. Early November, we started getting some decent accumulation. I want to say we got about 6 inches on November 3rd, 8.5 on the 16th, and then we had this cycle that you're looking at in the photo, the 24th through 27th. We got just shy of 20 inches at 2.5 inches of water, which is our first real supportable skiing of the season.
Party in the parking lot.
Little party in the parking lot. Crew from all over. Really good time. Just fresh snow, face shots and core shots, and a nice day to be outside with the crew.
What was the date of this? Same day?
Yep, the Thanksgiving Day. This was, I'm not sure the date on this, but this is early December as we hit our first kind of high pressure of the year and watched that Thanksgiving snow rot out. Some really nice surface hoar, as you see. Not exactly sure where this is, somewhere in the Ogden Valley. But yeah, we kind of hit basically 2 weeks of high pressure moving into December, where we got about 10 inches of snow between the 13th and the 15th. Oh, jump forward to that next one, Brandon. This was cool. My buddy Johnny asked if I wanted to come flying, and of course I said yes. So
that's a gorgeous photo.
He took us for a little brap around the neighborhood in a small Cessna. Just kind of also, he's a skier as well, and we're just kind of trying to figure out where this persistent weak layer was going to be harboring and plaguing us for the entirety of the season. So yeah, this is our the classic backyard, Ben Lomond Willard cirque right there, east facing. Pretty darn good coverage. You know, I wish it still looked like that right now. It's melted out to a higher base level, but
it's a gorgeous photo. How much can you tell about the snowpack from the air?
Nothing like boots on the ground, but it gives you a good indicator of what has snow, which at that point in the game is pretty important to me about seeing where that old rotting snow that's been on the ground for 3 weeks with no skiers, super thin, that's going to be your persistent weak layer for the season, where that's lingering. And in this picture, it hadn't all melted off yet, because I want to say this photo was from November 30th, which was basically right after that Thanksgiving storm. And then we experienced another 2 weeks of high pressure after. So it had quite a bit more time to decompose. There's an aerial view of Basin. Just really beautiful, massive.
That is gorgeous. Wow.
And then coming back in on our final approach, south face of Ben Lomond. Yeah, so just hunting around. This is immediately following. It was cold, it was clear at night, and we had big temperature gradient and not a lot of snow on the ground to insulate itself. So pretty epic surface hoar. I think the next photo is of some nice feathers as well. So
now this is in the valley, correct?
This one was at North Fork Park.
North Fork, okay.
And the prior one was a parking lot somewhere.
And then ice skating on the lake. Oh
yeah, so classic Ogden Avalanche here. We're going to tell you about everything other than skiing. Yeah, we were just in high pressure early December. Those nice cold, clear nights provided some really beautiful freezes on the high alpine lakes in the neighborhood. So it was just nice to get out and enjoy it before the skiing on the bigger lines like we all enjoy came in. This is another one. Oh, geez, this is from Baldy, looking to the south, seeing Snow Basin back there and the Pine View Reservoir. But you can just look at the snow surface. There's grass sticking out. It's thin. It's rocky. It's a little bit wind weathered. And so this is probably in that mid-December kind of high pressure, because we didn't really get our first supportable, good, widespread travel and skiing until, call it the Christmas storm, December 23rd through 31st, about 42 inches of snow, 4.5 inches of water. And that's what turned the corner for us for getting able to get in the high country, ski around, actually see some natural avalanches, some big cycles on those persistent weak layers. Just more views, high pressure, December.
Grass. Oh, this looks better.
A little better, yeah, but still looking on the, so that's a view looking northbound. On the left-hand side of the picture is westerly, just wind hammered. Some of the little snow ghosts up high, but you can see looking into the valley, coverage is still not great. Someone mentioned to me it was a year, to recap the year, it was a year of false summits where, we're just starting to get there and, it's looking really good. And then, it just deteriorates. And then you're like, well, it's going to be really good just over here. And, you get to that next false summit and you're like, when is winter actually coming this year?
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. And it's a Utah metaphor, man. Like it's just teasing you the whole time.
Yeah. So this was just after the Christmas cycle. Finally, an avalanche. Good to see one.
That's big too.
Yeah, so that's my pole. It's 115 cms, and that crown was probably 130, 140 at the max height.
And this is where?
It is probably mid elevation, about 8,000 feet east facing, east southeast, perhaps east northeast. Just kind of a natural wind wave, and that was triggered intentionally. And this was another crown, same event, but kind of cool. You can see it was two distinct wind slabs, basically. And I don't know for sure the original bed surface. My best guess would be near surface faceting. When it actually avalanched and I was able to look at the crown, there was quite a bit of grapple coming down. So another theme of the season, a lot of grapple.
Grapple, the season of grapple. Yeah, ooh, look at that.
Speaking of which.
Yeah.
That's my wife in front of James Peak there. Just another beautiful day at Powder Mountain. So it just kind of goes to show, like, it would snow, then it would get warm or windy, and then you get days of glory where it's actually beautiful and good skiing with decent stability.
I love that, days of glory. What time of year was this?
This has got to be early January.
Okay.
Again, early January. We've kind of started to get more snow on the ground, still sharky out there. But patrols widespread are getting terrain open, managing that persistent weak problem and the additional new wind slab problems that we've been getting throughout the prior month or two. And so it's cool to actually finally get out on some bluebird days with some good stable snow. This is another one later in the year. I don't know what I was trying to show here, but I just remember that day in particular we had some weird wind directions this year. It didn't seem like we had a super consistent southwest flow all season or northwest flow like the La Nina typically wants to provide. We'd get east winds every other week, north wind, south wind. So the snow is just kind of blowing around. It's like petting a cat. It likes getting pet one way, but if you start petting it all the other ways, it doesn't know what to think.
Yeah, no bueno.
Yeah, so just strange wind slabs from strange wind directions. At this point, we're mostly seeing superficial snow. The next photos of that's of the facet layer that'd be from the November facets, and at this point, I believe it's mid-January, and you can see they're starting to round out a little bit. They're still pretty facety, and there'll be a few more pictures of pits as I'm keeping eyes on the persistent weak layer throughout the season. This one, just at a quick glance, you can see a couple layers there on the upper half of the pack, and that lower pack is basically all November, December snow, capping the persistent weak layer, which we weren't seeing a ton of reactivity from at the point. So those are the basal facets, and they're rounding.
Yeah.
Not buried super deep, probably 150 cms down, but the temperature regime looks like they're rounding to me, and we hadn't been seeing many avalanches on them. Another pit looks like it's starting to get a little deeper. I remember digging this one on a southerly. Just judging by my paw prints in the snow, it looks like fist hard snow on the surface, going to one finger, going to four finger at some interfaces there, trending to one finger. And so it's like, hey, it doesn't seem like it should be, but the snowpack is trending more stable. Another big view, some nice drainages, some wind effect on the snow surfaces, but just one of those beautiful bluebird days with probably not too much wind as I stood out there to take the picture. Sheltered area, cold, clear nights, thin snowpacks, surface ore. Another just little wind slab. You can kind of see on the bed surface that it was sliding on some facets on that interface. So at this point in the season, I think we're pretty much well into January at this point, and we haven't seen a whole lot of action on that persistent weak layer. We hadn't seen any giant storms to tip the scales and make the walls of the mountains come off. So I don't know. I even bought one of these guys. I was trying to look for a Lego skier, but I was going to bring this with me to stage on pictures of tiny crowns to make them look way bigger, but I never brought it out with me.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
It's like, I like big avalanches, but it's also nice to not see them and have stable skiing that's supportable and safe. So just another view looking north, blue skies. Like it was kind of a good season to just appreciate the sunrises, the sunsets, and the days spent in the Alpine. Definitely wasn't the biggest winter on record like a few years ago that we're all clinging on to desperately. But so far, snow totals have brought us a little bit less than last year. And so just a day at Snow Basin. I think this is a Lone Tree maybe. I don't know. I love taking a tip pick in there.
Yeah.
More high pressure. Got to stay entertained. So this is Colby and Rosie training for their upcoming skijoring competition. I think the next one's of Colby also. Yeah.
There we go.
The world's only tele skijorer.
Yeah. For the number one freeheel skijorer in the world. I'm pretty sure.
That's right. Colby Atkinson Photography.
Oh, God. That's great. Oh, those clouds are awesome. Okay.
Yeah, some Amatis clouds, which is like, oh, sweet. Moisture in the air, maybe a pattern change. But just beautiful scenery. Got to take it in when you can.
Back to the ice.
Back to the ice. Yeah, high pressure.
Yep.
So this, just looking at my notes here, after that Christmas storm, we had a little bit of a storm early January, 20 inches, 2 inches of water. And then mid-January, the 11th through the 14th, we had some unsettled weather. We got 6 inches at 1/4 of an inch of water. So it's like, all right, we're getting just enough snow to keep us hanging on and clinging to hope and thinking there's more in the pipeline because we're finally breaking down these high pressure ridges and like, oh yeah, the storm's on the horizon. And then, out they'll get 24 inches and we'll get 6, but we'll make the most of it up here. So when it wasn't snowing much, the ice was staying really good. It was nice to have some cold temps, even if we weren't getting the moisture.
Yeah, I remember a year when I worked at the shop still, when we went into the boulder field in mid-January and we're shooting lifestyle bouldering photos because it was so warm. It was crazy. So at least it stayed cold.
Sunset from Powder Mountain overlooking Nordic Valley there. And then party time, night skiing, not much powder to be skied, but might as well go skiing with your friends. So just a deep dive back into those November facets, kind of looking sharp again.
Yeah, back here. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of looking facety, not super roundy. Where is this? This is in the Powder Mountain periphery, kind of looking towards James Peak there. Just one of those days like, hey, you can see a little bit of wind effect on the surface, but sun is shining and there's snow on the ground and there's a lot of other debris that is not avalanche related, but those are a lot of the other hazards this year was non-avalanche related hazard.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, this one's kind of weird. It's hard to look at, but this is like a really good visual of snow creep and rapid settlement. So you just see the snow surface is super wrinkled.
It looks puffy.
Yeah, so that's just kind of like showing the underlying texture. I'd imagine it's grass. I have no idea what it actually looks like down there in the summer. Oh, another lone tree tip pick.
Yep.
Never skied it in powder this year. It was always pretty scraped clean, but just beautiful views up on those ridge lines.
Yeah, and I believe when I emceed the FIS comp, it had to be, that's normally the route that they take during the comp, but they had to switch it up because it wasn't quite in time. So
Yeah. Oh, early morning at Powder Mountain.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, just like it was kind of fun looking back in my phone to gather pics for tonight's little chat. Yeah, a lot of good sunrises, a lot of good sunsets. Not a ton of blower powder pictures in the phone this year.
Bummer. Oh, these clouds are great. Or is that
Yeah, yeah, just like island in the sky back there, kind of a perfect, beautiful morning with some snow that's settled down a little bit. You can kind of see the wind ripples in it, but just nice to see some untracked snow. Again, finally snowed. Those snow ghosts are looking a little more white than green now, and yeah, just big views along the ridge lines here on the Wasatch Front. Some naturals looked like Cornice triggered, might have been solar, might have been wind. I forget specifically, but nice to see some natural avalanches going around. Oh, this was I was very jealous of whoever laid these tracks down. I was uncertain what the avalanche hazard was going to be doing. I think UAC had us at least a considerable this day, and these guys nailed their timing. Looks like avalanche free, great powder skiing. This is in the backyard here, west facing snow basin periphery.
Same lines. Yep.
Same lines, a little further over, skin track. I was texting a bunch of people that would be usual suspects for this, and is this you guys? Who did this?
Right.
It's awesome. Another view from our street, kind of just even lower down. You can't really see the tracks, but in the foreground where it switches to the shade there, you can see their egress, and just a beautiful day. I think I had to work somewhere else and couldn't enjoy a day off in the backyard there, but there were some days you just had to be really quick on them.
What are we looking at here?
This is Ogden Avalanche, Corey Davis, and myself heading up Ben Lomond. We skied the south face of it. I should know the date, but it was sometime during high pressure during one of the many heat waves this season. I'm gonna look this one up because I'm interested now. February 26th.
Yeah.
And Corey kind of just reached out to me and said, "Hey, let's ski something. I haven't seen the coverage top to bottom look this good all year. Any interest?" And said, I'd love to. I've been looking at that line for 6 years. That would be great.
How was it?
Oh, it was a long walk and there was a ton of roller balls. But it was a beautiful day to walk around in the mountains.
Yeah.
So I think there's more pictures. Yeah, it was just like 2 miles of giant roller balls made for terrible skinning, but easily supportable boot packing.
Yeah.
And it was still nice and cold heading up, so we weren't really worried about too much. This was kind of cool. If you could pan further to the left in the photo, which doesn't exist there, is just a giant wet slide tearing out this whole gully. But there's this tiny little pine tree right on the edge of, I guess, where it's avalanche resistant and where it avalanches. So
yeah, and then the branches are gone on that one side.
Yeah, but it's amazing that little tree survived even long enough to grow there, with being basically in the firing line of a huge slide path.
There we go. You can't really see it. Is that Corey down there?
That's Corey down there, and that little tree that he was just looking at is way down there, out of sight in the photo. But it just like all the superficial snow pooped out and entrained and left miles of rollerball for us. But kind of cool. The higher up we got, you could just get bigger and bigger views. Corey topping out on the ridgeline, clouds starting to push in.
That's a great photo. That looks awesome.
The majority of our snowfall this season feels like it's been grapple. At least it's added most of the water weight. So sticks around. It's supportable. It's good skiing. I love skiing grapple. Be nice to see some more stellars or dendrites or any of those classic good skiing grains, but a lot of grapple in Ogden this year. Just looking down some big slide paths of the snow basin periphery, some wind scouring. It was kind of funny. Let me check the date on this one, but I was kind of going out with the mindset that I'd be looking for warm snow, but it was finally one of those colder days, and we found a lot of really good radiation recrystallized loud pow, basically surface snow that had rotted out due to the cold temps overnight and the imbalance in long wave and short wave radiation. This photo was taken March 12th, and I was kind of like, you know what? Yeah, let's go for the sunnies. And then we figured out that the mid-elevation shadies still had really good supportable skiing. Here's my neighbor coming down. Kind of a dappled snow structure, but yep, same day.
Shout out to the neighbor.
Yeah, neighbor Jay, he's awesome. Kind of thought this photo would be cooler than it actually looks. But this was more recently, but it's just showing the moisture in the snowpack. There's a little bit of new snow overlying a lot of wet snow. This is March 14th, but we had a multi-day period in March where we basically got no freeze. I think it was 72 hours of a full no freeze, even up to 8,600 feet. And yeah, the snowpack became just absolutely saturated, which was pretty atrocious travel until it finally locked up again, and we got a couple good melt freezes, diurnal cycles on it. More grapple. And it's kind of cool this year. A lot of it came in with violent frontal passages, and we'd got big winds and lightning as a result of it, so that always makes for an exciting day in the mountains.
Yeah, good times at the resorts there, trying to manage.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I should know the date on this one, but that's in front of my house, and we woke up to snow, which was not a common thing this year. That was March 18th.
Late March, yeah.
Yeah, where we got, it looks like early March, we got about 20 inches of snow, the 4th through the 7th. March 18th, we got 6 inches of snow, and it came all the way down to valley floor. So that was, I think it's only snowed in front of my house about 3 times this year, which is, it's always nice to see. Looks nice and white.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great photo.
Yeah, I think so. This is one of the clients I took skiing up at Powder Mountain this season, and I think that was that same day, March 18th or the 19th. Just good cold snow, north-facing pitches. It's like, oh, winter's finally here.
Yeah, it's late. It's mid-March. Welcome, winter.
Yeah.
There's some blower pow. Look at that. Wow.
I was just stoked on that. I don't even know exactly what it's called. We'd have to consult the weather folk, but some sort of a front or almost like a whole boundary layer cloud, kind of mimicking the silhouette of the peaks there, catching the early morning sun. It was really pretty. Oh, tough to see in this one. This is in the snow basin periphery. It looked like there'd been a large natural wet cycle coming down into a confluence of different avalanche paths that we'd happen to be skiing after it had frozen up again, and we got a little bit more snow. But there's a ton of debris basically in the center of that picture that I was not surprised to see, but it was interesting to see how much it actually run out there. Nice steep classic start zones for avalanche paths.
Is that it?
Is that it? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this picture was taken April 1st, got another 9 inches. Hopefully we still have more snow coming this year. This time of year is tricky with cold snow versus wet snow and the transition between dry avalanche problems and wet avalanche problems. The sun is just getting really strong. So
yeah, man, thanks. That's a funny year. It's like you said, it was a false summit kind of a season, which is a great summary of how things went, I guess. Yeah,
and just chatting with another ski patroller over at Powder Mountain today, he said, I feel like a Dust Bowl farmer, which kind of just resonated.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
Both in the, we're trying to work in the ski industry and we haven't seen that many avalanches, and it's we're still out here doing it, but we're not really sure why. And it's also funny because we did have a couple dust layers blow into the snowpack this year. So
Yeah, and I've lived here long enough that it's just, I mean, every year's a little different, but sometimes we get those just unbelievable years that we need all of you who work in the industry at 100% for 4 or 5 months in a row. And boy, do you earn your money on those years. And then there's years like this year, it was like, yeah.
yeah, we
How's
had
it doing it?
had the Christmas cycle, the Valentine's Day cycle, and other than that, it's just kind of been trying to hang on to what we have and fighting the rising temperatures and the freezing elevations and the changing wind directions and the dust. It's I don't know. I just hope everyone else has had a really fun, safe season and gotten to spend some time outside and travel around out there.
For sure. I have some great stats of the education and the people we touched on as far as Ogden Avalanche this year. But just real quick, do you want to give us a heads up on because this is the last video we're putting out until we return in December. And so, anything we should look for or be aware of as we go through April.
Yeah, as we go through April, that sun is getting higher and higher in the sky as we approach the solstice. So we're getting more solar input. Typically, if you get a good freeze overnight, it's safer in the morning than it is the afternoon when that water starts percolating down into the snowpack, loosening things up. Keep your eyes peeled for roller balls, signs of natural instability, snow peeling off of rocks and training other snow. That's your time to get the heck out of there. You're already late. But yeah, we're moving into basically wet snow problems with superficial dry snow problems. That new snow is in a transition of turning to wet snow, but we need a good couple melt freeze cycles for it to start rounding out into corn. And we're not really known for great corn here in the Wasatch.
No, so be early out there. So our classes, our participation, our reach was record breaking this year. We did 9 Know Before You Go classes with 290 participants. We had 146 participants in the Wasatch Backcountry Mentor workshops. Also pulled off another 5 B Street Speaker Series chats with over 265 people attended in person. And then we had live streams that have reached well over 4,400 people out there, or 4,400 views, I guess we should say. Had 13 different weekly updates that we did. And then we had 3 different paid Abby 101 courses taught with a total of 27 students. So very active year for Ogden Avalanche in terms of education and outreach to the public. Reminder, our annual fundraiser will be, which is called the Backcountry Bash, is December 4th at the Monarch. So save the date, December 4th. That's how we make all of our funds so that we can bring you all of the education that I just gave you those stats about. So please plan on attending and helping fund the 2025-2026 season of Ogden Avalanche. Keenan, thanks so much for your time, man. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just want to say thanks so much to everyone that calls the Ogden Valley home and supports Ogden Avalanche and doing what we do. Wouldn't be able to do it without everyone. And maybe just give another shout out to our sponsors if you want to crank through the list there, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you too. Thanks to Atomic, Range Realty, Young Power Sports, the Banyan Collective, and our granting partner, the Community Foundation of Ogden Valley. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the fall at the Backcountry Bash. Cheers.